Turkey, and I don't have any other videos. I don't have a channel. I'm not this like makeup guru who knows how to contour and whatnot. Um, I'm just a mom who wasn't very much inspired by other women's natural birth stories. I watched a ton of them while I was preparing mentally to have a natural home birth, and I wanted to pay it forward and make another positive video and put it out there to encourage other women to trust their bodies and to maybe have a natural birth or even a home birth. So, my name's Emily. I'm 35. And I already have two boys. I have older boys. I have a 14-year-old, which is nuts, and then a almost 12-year-old. So I just had my youngest almost 2 weeks ago. Tomorrow he'll be 2 weeks old. I just had him. He came about at 37 in 6 days. I knew he was going to be early. I just had signs of him coming early for probably a couple, 3-4 weeks before his, actually more than that, like maybe a month and a half before his due date, I started just showing signs that my body was preparing for labor. So I really had to try to chill out towards the end of the pregnancy, do nothing, like no walking and stuff, because if I wanted to have a home birth, he had to be 37 weeks. Or I had to be 37 weeks, I should say. Anyways, so I chose to do a home birth for many reasons. One, I live in Memphis, Tennessee, and we don't have any birthing centers. It's you either have to do it at a hospital. I mean, you can have a midwife at a hospital, but it's still hospital birth, and or you can do a couple midwives that I know of. They only do home births. So really, if I had the option of a birthing center, I probably would have done that, just because I would have felt more comfortable. But I had to dive right into the home birth whole scene, which was so not me 12 years ago when I had my middle child. I was all about, as soon as I felt I was induced first off, and then as soon as I felt any pain, I got an epidural. It was the most anticlimactic birth ever. He fell out when the doctor or when the nurse went to check me. No pain. It was just a lot. And I remember after I had him, I said, I feel like I just knew in my soul I got cheated a little bit. I was like, I knew I wanted to feel more than what I allowed myself to feel. And that was 12 years ago. And there was a little wisdom there, I guess, 12 years ago. And then my first son wasn't induced, had him in a military hospital, 21, and I wanted the epidurals right away, but they wouldn't give it to me because they said I was a first-time mom, so it might slow down my labor. So I pretty much went all the way with him naturally, but I was not calm because I didn't prepare. A lot of home births or natural birth is mental preparation. It is 95% mental. And I did not mentally prepare, so I was freaking out. I was freaking out. So this birth, now I'm 35, I like to think I'm a lot wiser, and I knew this is my last baby, and I knew I wanted to do things consciously. I knew I wanted to put thought and effort into it, and I knew I wanted an experience that was going to grow me as a human, and I wanted to do things in a way that felt good, and maybe a little scary, but good. So I had a couple friends in the yoga community that I'm in who have had home births, and they used these two midwives. Now it's just one midwife who works at her practice, and they had positive experiences. So I went, again, didn't know I didn't know I had to have a home birth when I went into this whole thing. So I went in to meet with at the time it was two midwives, and it just immediately felt right. Like, immediately, I loved them. I loved the vibe in their little house practice thing they worked out of. They were funny, they were chill, they were confident, they we knew all of the same people. It just felt right. So there was no, there was not a lot of time. I didn't take a lot of time to make my decision that I was going to go that route, even though I was going to have to do a home birth, which I wasn't fully certain I wanted to have. But if I wanted these midwives, I needed to accept the fact I was going to do this at home. So I did. I read, I think it's Ina May. Shoot, I hope I got her name right. She's the midwife that practices in Summertown, Tennessee, which isn't far from where I live. But she's kind of like a world-renowned midwife. She wrote the book Spiritual Midwifery, and I had a friend who just had a natural birth recommend that book to me, and so I got that book, started reading it before I decided that I was gonna do a home birth. But then when I met with the midwives and kind of felt out if this was right for me, they trained under Ina May, the person who wrote this book. So it was like everything was like connecting, and I was like, okay, that book was amazing. These people trained under her, so it kind of just all made sense. So anyways, I chose to do a home birth. This is gonna be a long video, but hey, this is my only video, so I'm gonna give the details, I guess. So once I made the decision to have a home birth, I started mentally preparing. Not mentally preparing, and also preparing my house. Me and my partner, I moved into with him, but his house needed a massive amount of work. So we kind of started renovating as soon as we found out we were gonna have a baby. It's like, okay, what do we need to have done? And not only are we gonna bring our baby into this house, we're gonna actually literally birth the baby into this house. So it needs to feel good. So we started renovating, and then I started working on my mind. And one way I started working on my mind was I started listening to positive birth stories, and I started reading books on. I didn't read. I think it's called Fearless Childbirth or something. I think it's Ina May also wrote, the one who also wrote Spiritual Midwifery. I cannot remember the name of the book, and I didn't necessarily read the entire book, but I would graze through it, and then I would listen to like TED Talks with her, Ina May. I think that's her name. I should have done more research before I started this, but anyways, so I started kind of just getting inspired by this whole, I don't know, this whole idea that seemed foreign to me, but also seemed very normal and natural to me. It's like I started reworking how I thought about what I thought about childbirth, what I thought about how I discovered that it is really important how we bring our babies into this world, and it's something I never really thought about before. So I've grown a ton through just educating myself on childbirth and fear and trusting my body, surrendering, letting go, like all these concepts that I'm familiar with because I practice a lot of yoga. Surrendering is a huge part of yoga, and letting go, and fear, facing your fears, and also listening to your body and listening to your soul. And I knew I could do this, but it's something I didn't ever accept that I could until I was pregnant. So it was kind of cool seeing myself grow in confidence. And every single time I heard a birth story, I was like, yes, I resonate with that. Yes. So I listened to a little hypnobirthing stuff, but I didn't buy anything. I really just basically used I don't know how long, 7 years of yoga I've been practicing. I knew that was gonna come in handy, like dropping into meditation, and also all the teachings that I've had pounded in my head. I knew were gonna help me, so I had a kind of a head start on the whole like getting out of your mind, facing fear, and letting go. So anyway, let's get into the actual day I went into labor. So I went into labor March 19th. My due date was April 4th. So it was early, and I knew deep down that I was in labor for like, I want to say like a couple days even before. I had the bloody show a week and a half before I went into labor. So I had it real early at 35 weeks. I lost my mucus plug at like 33, 34 weeks. So my body was trying to start things fairly early. So I knew I was not going to make it to 40 weeks. I knew deep down in my soul. So when I had bloody show, I was 35 weeks, and I was thinking, shit, I have to make it to 37 weeks so I can have this home birth, because we did all the preparation. I got all of these boxes organized with all my birth supplies. I set up my birthing room. Mentally, I prepared for it, but obviously if the baby was going to be at risk and it was going to be preemie, obviously I'd definitely do it at a hospital. But I wanted to keep it in there so I could do it at home. So I never found out the baby's sex until after he was born. Gave that away. So the day I had some contractions for several weeks. Oh, my dogs are coming in. Ah! Here they are. I have a German Shepherd, and I don't even know what puppy face is. He's an adorable mutt, but anywho. So a couple days before I went into labor, I was having I had contractions. They were in between Braxton Hicks and like real contractions. And since I've had contractions before, I knew the difference. If a contraction wakes you up in the middle of the night, it's not a Braxton Hicks anymore. It's a real contraction. But it was like my body was trying to, and I was like, no. I really, 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 really wanted to be farther along. I wanted to keep little baby in as long as possible. So I wasn't ready. I still was waiting on the birthing pool. We ordered a liner for it, and that still wasn't here, and a hose to connect to our water heater to fill it up. So everything else was ordered, washed, prepared, organized, but I was still missing those two things. So it was like I was like, no, we're not ready yet. I don't want you to come out yet. So I kept on saying no. I would drink water, I would lay down, and then they would go away. And then it was a Tuesday. I called into work because that Monday night and Tuesday morning I was having, again, these contractions that would wake me up in the middle of the night. And they were not painless, but they were definitely not extreme pain either. But they woke me up. So I knew that my body was, again, trying to start something. And I was like, no. Still haven't got everything ready. But I did call into work. And I just told my boss, because I thought possibly in labor. But I didn't tell my boss I thought that. I told her that I was just really tired from being up all night, just labor pains, or pregnancy pains. So I didn't want to tell anyone anything, just because I didn't want pressure, and I didn't want to have to explain if I wasn't in labor, and I just kind of wanted this thing to be private. So I called into work, and that day I rewashed all of the towels that our birthing supply boxes that we had. I just felt like I wanted to rewash them because it was a couple of weeks. I washed our sheets on our bed. That day I had so much energy, and me and Will cleaned. Will's my partner. We cleaned our house. I mean, just got up and just cleaned. And it was amazing because we were both in just really good spirits. And then my birthing pool liner came in the mail, and our hose. So we kind of practiced. I did a practice run with the hose. Will did set it up and made sure that it was long enough. That was kind of an issue, but everything was good. So it was like my body was trying to go, and my mind finally said, okay, we can do this. Because we have everything we need now. Baby is big enough and healthy enough to be born at home. Fine, let's do this. And it's like as soon as my mind said, okay, contractions started happening. I would say probably about anywhere from 7 minutes to like 15 minutes, but they definitely, again, weren't Braxton Hicks. They started, in the low back, kind of radiated to the front. It just, there's a different feel when they're contractions trying to do something. So Will went to work. He works at a music school, and he went to work later that, like, early afternoon. So I spent, I got in the shower. I put on this really pretty, like, nightie. It's just white and pretty and it was brand new. And I didn't have any makeup on, and I just had my hair wet. And I felt beautiful. I sat on my yoga ball through these contractions. I still wasn't 100% sure yet if we were doing it or not, but I was feeling like we were. And I would drink some raspberry leaf tea, sat in the sun, didn't turn the TV on, wasn't on my phone, didn't talk to anybody besides one of my best friends I grew up with, who, again, she's the one that had a natural birth probably like 6-7 months ago, and she's been kind of an inspiration to me. Talked to her a little bit on the phone, and she was like, I think you're in labor. And so I did. I agreed. I was like, I think so too. So I got off the phone with her, and she was the last person I talked to outside of Will. And I decided to just cherish the day by myself, and I did. It was so nice. It was really nice. I was like, what do I want to eat? And I knew that through this labor, if I was really in labor, I was going to eat and drink all the way through it until I couldn't anymore because I wanted the strength. So I was like, okay, I really want some spicy Thai food. So I ordered delicious Thai noodles with some spring rolls, and had it delivered to the house. So I set it up all beautiful when I ate it, just again by myself. And I would sit on my yoga ball, and we have this really pretty room in our house that has lots of plants and beautiful sunlight. This is the room I thought I was going to give birth in. And it was all set up. I made this beautiful, it's a beaded string thing that you could hang that had my affirmations on it. I wrote I am, and thought about everything that I wanted to be in labor. What did I want my labor to be? So I wrote I am. I can see it right now. I put I am opening, I am strong, I am relaxed, I am brave. I can't read all of them. I am calm, I am at peace, and I'm 100% capable. Those are the things that I wanted going through my mind. So I had that hung up. It's just a beautiful moment. And contractions at this, I would say, around 4 or 5 were starting to be like every 7 to 8 minutes. And not super painful, but definitely were doing something. So I didn't call my midwife. I texted her a screenshot. They have these awesome, of course, the last time I gave birth was 12 years ago. Things have definitely improved. They have awesome apps that do all of the contraction counting for you. So I just had to take a screenshot and send it to my midwife. Melvin, can you not? Go away. So I had to, I just took a screenshot and sent it to my midwife, and she just sent me like a thumbs up emoji, and I was like, what does that mean? So, but she's so chill, and again, she doesn't get worked up. She's just basically saying, I'm here, thanks for letting me know. So, she delivered the birthing pool that evening, probably around 7 or 8. Will was just getting home from work. I called him because I was like, I think we might be doing something. So he left work a little early and met the midwife. The midwife's name's Amy. Met Amy in our driveway, and she kind of told him how to set up the birthing pool, and she just left. She didn't talk to me. She just left. So I was like, well, obviously she thinks something's happening because she dropped off the birthing pool. Again, hasn't really told me anything, which I'm really glad she is the way she is, because I can get kind of in my head about things. She just let things happen, which I appreciate. So she left, and Will came in, and he just kind of timed the contractions for me, and I sat on my yoga ball, and time started just feeling different. Um, it felt honestly beautiful from the time Will came home. Well, from the time I really decided that I'm probably in labor, it was just this this beautiful. It almost felt like, it sounds silly, but I was almost like in a cloud, like of love. I don't. Everything was just beautiful and calm and sweet. Um, so Will was timing the contractions, just sitting next to me while I was on my yoga ball, and the yoga ball also amazing. I highly recommend a yoga ball to have for early labor. It's just not, you can sway. I attribute the yoga ball to baby moving down and an easier labor. It was amazing. It was really nice to be on the ball. So around, I would say 8 or 9, I had a contraction that I knew we were in business. It was like, yeah, we are having a baby, and it was, again, not, I could probably still even talk through it, but it was like it definitely kicked up a little bit, and I remember just being happy, getting at peace, and I was laying in bed with Will was eating the leftover Thai food, and we were just in bed laughing and talking together, and so I had that contraction, and at that time probably they were consistently 7 minutes apart. I would say around 9 or 10. Again, sent a screenshot, text it to my midwife, and she said, "Let me know when you're 5 minutes apart." So, which I was kind of prepared for from listening to all the birth stories that I've listened to. I was prepared for her to say that. So I was like, okay. She didn't say, "Yeah, you're having a baby. Yeah, this looks like where you're in labor." She was just so amazing on how she handled the situation. It's like she didn't want to get my hopes up, but she also, it was like she was just saying what the reality was. I don't know how to describe it. Anyways, so we we wanted Will's mom to be at my house for the birth, just to help Will if Will needed anything. Will is a very selfless human, and I thought that he might need help. He might need help because he forgets about himself a lot. So we let her know about 10 o'clock that things were probably going down, and so she was sweet and went and got me coconut popsicles. I requested that, and some crackers and some dates. I've been eating dates and drinking raspberry leaf tea from like 36 weeks on. Um, Dates are good for the uterus, so is raspberry leaf tea. So yeah, we told her about 10 o'clock. She said, okay, I'm gonna head over. At this time at 10, I lit all the candles in our house, and I started walking. I did not want things to slow down, for sure. I wanted things to pick up. So I started walking our house, and again, it was beautiful. It was quiet. We had no TV on. It wasn't on my phone. Will was tracking my contractions on my phone. And it was like time stood still. It was like just those beautiful moments. They were beautiful moments. Anyway, so I was walking. Will's mom came in around 1:30. She got here. She, slightly annoying because she wouldn't stop talking to me through my contractions, but and at this point, I could not talk to them. So she would ask me a question, and I'm not super comfortable with her, so I kind of felt like I was being rude, but I didn't want that pressure, so I kind of just, instead of walking our house, I went into our room, and I was like, I'm just gonna be in my room and labor here, so I don't have to worry about being polite, because you don't want to be polite when you're trying to work through contractions. So I went in my room, and by that time it was like 2 in the morning, and my midwife came. Oh, and I was 5 minutes apart. Contractions were 5 minutes apart. Couldn't really talk through. I could if I wanted to, but it was getting very hard to do anything but breathe and just breathe through my contractions. Pretty much that was the only thing I could do. So midwife came in 5 minutes apart at 2 o'clock in the morning. She checked me and said, "Okay, you are 4 centimeters. Awesome." She's like, "Okay." And I look again. She had nothing. She wasn't telling me anything. I was like, "Am I having a baby, or do I need to call my do I need to go to work tomorrow? And she's like, you're having a baby. And I was like, well, finally, you're telling me something. So she's like, you're definitely having a baby. She's like, you're 4 centimeters and things are going. She's like, now you could be at 4 centimeters for a while, or you could, things could move on pretty quickly. She's like, but things aren't going to move on fast or the way you probably want with me staring you in the face. So I'm going to leave. She's like, call me, text me when things get intense. And contractions get a lot closer together. And I was like, again, what does that mean? So she left, and she also told me to try to relax. She's like, take a bath, try to sleep through contractions. There was no way I was sleeping through these contractions, but I did know I wanted to relax and save my energy, because if this was going to last a long time, I wanted to, again, be chill and relaxed. So she suggested a bath. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna get our bath. Our bathroom is in the middle of being renovated. It's disgusting. There's insulation falling through our roof. I mean, our bathtub is sick. I was like, whatever. I told Will when I first found out we were pregnant, our bathroom had to be done by the time we had a home birth, because there's no way I was gonna take a bath or be in that bathroom while I was in labor, because it bothered me so bad. But look at me eating my words. I definitely took a bath. And then, spoiler alert, I ended up giving birth in the bath. I never got out once I got in. But, so I got in the bath. I was in such a good mood. I was eating my coconut popsicles in between contractions. I was splashing Will with water. I was eating crackers. Will started falling asleep. And I was like, no, you're my doula. You cannot fall asleep. Contractions were hard to get through, but they didn't take all this energy away from me that in between the contractions I was like just trying to find strength for the next one. Not yet. I was being very silly. So that was at 2:30 I got in the bath. Then around like 3:30, 4, things got real. Things got hard. And I remember needing my mantras. I remember I started dropping in to meditation. Contractions were probably like 3 minutes apart at this point, and it felt like I could close my eyes through a contraction and literally feel my body opening up. It was incredible and powerful and hard all at the same time, but it was amazing. And one of my mantras was, "This isn't going to kill you." And silly as that sounds, or "you're not going to die," I literally wrote that down. But it actually helped me, because I'm not dying. This is completely natural. This is what I'm feeling is 100% what I'm supposed to feel. And that is comforting to know that, yeah, it hurts, but it's supposed to, and you're not going to die. And you can get through this. So to me, facing that, knowing that this is hard, knowing that this hurts, but it's okay and it's supposed to, helped me. So I started saying to myself before every contraction, I can do this. I would say it out loud, and then I would close my eyes and I would hold on. There's this like handle, I don't know what it was for, in the bathtub, and I would just hold on to it, and I tried to keep my jaw relaxed and everything down below relaxed so baby could move down. And if I did tense up anything, I would try to only be my fists, or I would squeeze what side of the bathtub or this handle thing, and that helped. And while I was at this phase, at first I would say, I can do this, and then I started, after every contraction, started feeling more empowered, more powerful, more bring it on, because I was getting through them, and I knew I was becoming a badass. And I was like, I got this. They weren't easy, but I knew I could do it, and my confidence increased with every contraction, which was unexpected and really awesome. So I stopped saying I can do this out loud, and maybe I was saying this inside. I don't know. I'd have to ask Will if I was saying it out loud or not. Can you move? So I started saying, I am doing this, and I was like, I'm doing this. It was amazing. So Will sat next to me the entire time next to the bathtub. Again, time was insane. It felt like a blink of an eye. I felt like I got in the pool and then I was like, in pain. but it really was like 4 hours. Let's see. Got 2:30, 3:30, 4:30, 5:30. So I was in the pool for like 4 hours, or bathtub for like 4 hours. Anyways, some funny things. Will is amazing. First off, I'm an amazing partner. He was hilarious. It was just me and him again in the bathroom. He farted during, like, in between contractions, and it was funny. But as intense contraction started, I could start smelling it, and it was so crazy how angry I was. So I told him after that contraction was over, you can't fart anymore, like, at all, because your stink made it harder for me to get through that contraction. So no. Another time, he's reached his hand into the cracker bag and it was like crunching and being all like crackly, and I was like, because I was, again, any type of noise or distraction, I needed all my energy to focus on. I can do this. So he shaped up quickly. No more farts. No more. He was not allowed to chew or eat during contractions, just because I could not take it. I needed him present with me in the moment, and he did an amazing job. So anyways, when contractions got like 3 minutes apart, we texted our midwife and said, it's time to get here. So she's like, give me an hour. And I was like, okay. And then after like the next contraction, I was like, we don't have an hour. She needs to get here. I knew. My body was saying, I knew. We're in business. So she was amazing. So she got here in probably, I don't even know how long. Time again was weird. She came probably around 4 in the morning. The birthing pool was already set up. She was like, hey, let's get you in the birthing pool. And I was like, I'm kind of cool here. And she's like, you'll be more comfortable in the birthing pool. And I was like, okay, I trust her. She's awesome. She's badass. And so I was like, okay. Couple contractions. She came back in and was like, you're gonna give birth in that bathtub. And I was like, I think you're right. I'm not moving. So she's like, okay, scratch the birthing pool. So me waiting for that liner, whatever. I didn't really need to do that, but whatever. So I also asked her, I was like, are you gonna check me? And she's like, no, I'm not gonna check you. I'm assuming I was like 8 centimeters then. She's like, I'm not checking. You're having a baby. There's no way you're not. I can tell. And I was like, okay. I kind of wanted to know to see how far I was because I was working so hard, but she didn't check me, which again, love that she didn't. So then she sat outside. Oh, baby's making noise. She sat outside the bathtub or bathroom, had a cup of coffee, and was just chilling. And at one point, when contractions were getting insane, I could feel pressure in my butt, like I had to take a shit. And I knew that its baby is really low, and I kind of wanted to push. I wanted to start pushing, just because I wanted relief. I wanted to release that pressure. So I told Will, I was hoping that she wanted me to start pushing. So I told Will, I was like, hey, tell Amy that I can feel a lot of pressure, and I might want to start pushing. And so Will, I could hear him talking to her, and he's like, hey, she feels a lot of pressure. And she's like, oh no, she's fine. She's fine. I'm listening. She's not ready to push yet. She's like, and she actually won't push, her body will just do it for her. And I heard her say that, and I was like, what in the hell? So I was kind of disappointed that I couldn't push yet, but I trusted her, and I was like, okay, just at this point, the contractions were fucking insane. It was like, there was no breaks. It was like waves. It was like a wave that was so intense that it took everything out of me. Like, I started like just humming and like moving my legs back and forth, and that's how I managed, I guess, all the energy that was in me, and it felt good to do that. But up until then, I was like silent. So I started like humming, and then it would be like a pulse. It would be like a really strong contraction, and then like 2 lesser ones that weren't that less, but a lot lesser than the thing I just went through. It was like a pulse, and it was kind of a beautiful thing, hard as fuck, but beautiful. And I could, yeah, it was like, and I knew that we were there. I knew it, I felt it, And in the middle of these pulses, all of a sudden, I don't know, it felt like the skies parted, and I could feel the pressure immediately just come down my birth canal. And I swear to you, my water broke, I shit, and his head popped out at the same time. It was this explosion of life. And I said right before it happened, "It's coming!" And my midwife, by the time she got there, his head was already out. And all I heard her say was, "Oh my." And she's right. I didn't have to push. My body, it was like I was throwing up a baby. And I didn't have to push. I just had to let my body do its thing and let go. I was literally witnessing my body do this, and it was insane. And when his head came out, I could feel it come out. I knew what it looked like down there. And I knew that I had to deliver his shoulders next. I could feel, again, those pulses of light pulses, and then the next big pulse, I knew his shoulders were going to come out. And I could feel everything. And it was the most intense, hardest thing I've ever done and felt, but it was also so incredibly amazing. And so when that big pulse happened, again, his shoulders came out, and it was just like I could feel the relief. And he was all the way out, and she set him on me, and it was like this. I couldn't stop saying, "Oh my God, that was so incredibly hard," and I cannot believe I just did that in our bathtub. I was blown away at myself, and he was so cute. And I didn't even check to see if it was a boy or girl. That's another adorable thing. Like, I was just I was happy he was here, and he was beautiful, and it just happened so insanely quick to me. And there was, again, no pushing, nothing. It resembled none of my other two births. My other two births, the doctors told me how to do everything. They told me when to push. They told me when I was ready. This was so different. My body just did what it was supposed to do, and I just had to surrender. And it was an incredible and a beautiful experience. And I cannot believe I did a home birth. It was just incredible. So baby was out on me, and I was just staring at him, just amazed and kind of just blown away by not just about him, but just the experience. It blew my mind. Midwife was like cutting cords and taking care of things, and we finally realized that we never even checked to see if it was a boy or a girl. So about 10 minutes after his birth, I held him up a little bit and saw he had a little penis and some balls, and I was like, I'm a mother of 3 boys, crazy. He was so cute, and yeah, it was just an incredible experience. It was amazing being at home. It was amazing, that entire experience. It was empowering. I'm not gonna have any more kids, but if I did, I'd do it the exact same way. And I just made this video because I wanted to share a positive story and put another one out there and encourage women to get to know their bodies and to trust them and to have an amazing experience, because you're a badass and you can do it. Okay, thanks for watching.